Hello YouTubers, Soulmecha here, and today I'll be reviewing the game Transistor.
Hey, say something already. Say something weird. Oh no.
The game Transistor first came out in May of last year, but has only recently come out on the PlayStation Plus network as a download, which is why I picked it up. Now this game was developed by a company called Supergiant Games, and if that name sounds even just a little bit familiar, then here's why. They also developed the game Bastion, which was their debut game in 2011. If you did love Bastion, then I highly suggest picking up Transistor and playing that as well. And why? Well, I'm about to tell you why. Not only does it come with another incredibly beautiful soundtrack and a rich sci-fi-like environment, but it also has a very compelling story with a character who can't speak, but yet still manages to pull you into her world and makes you really feel for all that she's lost. And then you have the sword, which is called the Transistor, hence the name of the game, which she carries around, and as you come to learn throughout the story, it's quite a sad tale. Now he can speak, and as you go along he explains things and talks to the main character called Red, and generally guides you through the story as you fight these things called the Process, which are highly intelligent robots which are trying to kill you. And you're trying to figure out why these high-ranking officials called the Camerata tried to kill you in the beginning, but instead of you dying, you're saved by this person who you don't know, but who is now the consciousness of the sword. But you do get the feeling that he did mean a lot to Red, and still does. What really drives you through the game is the need to find out why this all happened. Why are the Process taking over Cloudbank, which is the city that you're in? What is the Transistor and why was it created? The bond between Red and the man's consciousness inside the Transistor. The more you learn about their relationship and the more you grow to love them and feel sad about their horrible predicament.
When you speak, I hear silence. Every word a defiance. I can hear, oh, I can hear. Think I'll go where it suits me. Moving out to the country with everyone, oh, everyone. Before we all become
When I came up to my first battle in this game, I was quite surprised and interested in the different style that they had, because there was two types in the way that you could play this game. You could use like the free-flowing, just beat them to death kind of Bastion style with the sword's powers, or you could do a strategy, tactical kind of mode where you'd pause the battle and you'd plan your moves, which was kind of similar to Shadowrun, where you take turns and you plan ahead, whether it's, you know, you're gonna attack this enemy and then attack this enemy and run away, or you're just gonna go all out and attack them and come what may. What I didn't like about the fighting though was that you were very limited by space. So when you came up against a battle, a barrier would come up and you would only have certain places to move, which for the most part in the beginning isn't really a hindrance, but as you go further along the game and you come up against more and more enemies, it's very hard to hide or maneuver around without getting damage. And you can't heal yourself in battle, which was a pain for me, because you know, when you can't hide, you can't run, and you're limited by the space that you have, and you don't really have that many defensive powers with the sword, it made it quite hard to get through some of the harder battles with that. And there was a particular boss that I had a bit of trouble with because of the limited space. Now this boss was called the Spine, and it was like an octopus squid like robot, and you had very small space to battle him with, very limited cover, and not only did he attack you with this laser beam, but he also had his tail, which would come down at random times on top of you unless you moved out of the way. And not only did you have to contend with that, but you also had these random little bots popping out of nowhere that he would throw out at you. So it made it quite hard to battle him, and if you didn't have the right moves or the right powers to get him, and you had to get him really quick, otherwise you'd pretty much die. Now, when you do run out of health, you don't die at first, you lose a power. So you have 4 of the power, so each time that you lose all your health, you lose one of those powers, which I thought was good until I battled the spine, and it turned out to be quite difficult. Now, the spine is the second boss you face in this game. The first boss is a member of the Camerata. Now, there are 4 members of the Camerata, and as you go along, you're pretty much trying to find answers from these guys. And so after you defeat the spine, you're trying to get to these other members of the Camerata, which 2 of them are hiding out in one of the high-rise buildings in town. And there's a really big build-up for meeting them. You think you're going to fight them, you think you're going to battle through all the process in order to get to them and like have some big badass duel with these guys, and you get up there ready for a big fight and they have died, which was a bit disappointing for me because I was really looking forward to facing off against these 2 guys and getting information out of them, and I've come all this way only to find them dead and be turned around and have to go all the way to the opposite end of town to find the one remaining member of the Camerata. So that was the main things that I did have problems with the game, and they weren't really big problems, but there were these weird white mushroom things growing out of the ground at some point in the game, which you run through and do a flurry. Now, I didn't really understand what they were doing or what exactly the effect that they had on me, because nothing really seemed to happen. I just think they were there just because. So I thought that was a bit unnecessary and a bit strange and a bit of a time waster, because I thought maybe they healed you or maybe they did some weird thing to the sword, but it turned out that they didn't. So I spent a bit of time going through these like weird white mushroom thingies growing from the ground and to figure out that they did nothing. So yeah, but that was really all I had problems with. And now to move on to the good stuff, what I really did like about the game. Now, the art style. It was absolutely amazing. The cutscenes were beautiful and just stunning to look at. The comparison between the really dark red of the Camerata compared to the main protagonist Red's colours, it really emphasised how, bad and dark and brooding the Camerata were compared to Red, who was like the bright spark of the city and the hope of Cloudbank. And even the gameplay, it was beautiful to play. I absolutely loved every minute of it. Watching it, just the different lighting, the whiteness of the process compared to the dark emptiness of the city. It really drew you in. You just wanted to look at it for a while because it was just so stunningly amazing to look at. I honestly cannot go on enough about how beautiful this game is, and it's well complemented by the soundtrack of it, which if you have played Bastion before, then you know how beautiful that soundtrack is, and Transistor is no exception. The music is lovely. You go into this kind of backdoor area, which is like your own personal private training ground, and there, as you go through the tests and stuff, you earn music, which you can listen to on the recorder outside. And so you can just sit there and just listen to the music if that's what you'd like to do, because it really is beautiful to listen to. And the story itself is very imaginative, and it was quite clever the way they did it, because you really want to know why all this is happening, why the transistor was made by the Camerata, why the process is wreaking havoc amongst the city, where did they come from, what are they doing here, and why are they trying to take over. So it really drives you to want to finish this game, to get all the answers that you really want, and you do get the answers that you need. which was something that I really appreciated. As I'm sure a lot of you gamers out there know, there are a lot of games that you finish it and you don't get all the answers that you need. But that's not the case with Transistor, which was quite well done. Now, the whole evil robots taking over the world and killing everyone, it's not a new idea by far, but what Transistor did and what I really liked was the fact that the robots leveled up along with you. So as you grew and gained more powers, so did they. So each time you got a new power and came up against new robots, and there were very many different kinds, they were also gaining new powers along with you, so it was always a challenge. So the game didn't just focus on the aesthetics of it, as beautiful and as the music and the graphics were, it was a very well-rounded game. So even though it does have its flaws, and every game will, the pros far outweigh the cons of the game. So in the end, it is worth playing. It's not a very long game, you can definitely finish it within a day. But all up, it was a great game. I enjoyed it immensely and I highly recommend you pick it up. And so that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I am Soulmecha and I will catch you next time.
Just skin and bones.
Hey, let's just go.
Nothing is
Come on, just go.